Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Welcome to another edition of We On That Ass News, where we follow these pedophiles from across the country and them getting their due diligence. Their just deserves their justice. Guys, we got another one out of Boston, which is a really, really sad one. And this one hits close to home because I am a law enforcement officer, and it always pains me when you have these oath breakers who actually disrespect and disregard the oath that they've made to the people to protect and serve, and they end up doing some of the most heinous things. Don't get me wrong. Police officers are people. People make mistakes, but there's no excuse to make mistakes like this Boston police sergeant who has been arrested for abusing young people. Let's go ahead and read the article, and then we're going to watch a little bit of the hearing. So Boston police sergeant charged with rape suspended by oversight commission. The state agency tasked with overseeing Massachusetts police officers suspended the certification of Paul Downey, the Boston police sergeant charged with raping a child and paying for intercourse. On Tuesday, the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission directed Downey to surrender his official credentials, including but not limited to any uniform, badge, firearms, assigned cruiser, and use of force instruments such as tasers. Downey was arraigned Monday in Dorchester Municipal Court on 4 counts of aggravated rape of a minor, 2 counts of paying for sex with a child, and 2 counts of electronic enticement. This is very, very, very serious charges, and very sad that this police sergeant would take advantage of a young person. Let's keep going. Just absolutely disgusting allegations and charges here that clearly are unacceptable and incompatible with serving the public in any way, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu said at an unrelated event Tuesday. We expect and know there will be a full investigation into the facts of what happened. Commissioner Michael Cox, in a statement, said Downey was immediately placed on administrative leave. These charges are obviously very troubling, and our thoughts are with any alleged victim. Now, apparently, this guy made over $300,000 a year. Oh, down here it actually says it's $379,000 last year. He was making a whole lot of money. He threw it all away like smoke, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. My God. Let's keep going. Prosecutor said Downey solicited a 14-year-old boy through the social media app Grindr and Snapchat. Now, in my investigations, I found a lot of minors actually are on Grindr, getting involved, getting entangled with older adults. In fact, my international ex-trafficking case that I handed off to Homeland Security that resulted in an arrest, and now a prosecution that might give that perpetrator 35 years in federal prison. Guess where my victim met their abuser, who was from Europe? They met him from Grindr. So Grindr is a cesspool that has a lot of trafficking, but let's keep going. He met him through Grindr and Snapchat. Downey allegedly picked up the boy and drove him to a parking lot near the South Bay Shopping Center in March and May. A judge said this week ordered Downey be held $250,000 cash bail. Court records show he has already pleaded not guilty. Downey's defense attorney did not respond to a request for comment. His next court appearance is July 29th. We will be following this case, guys. We'll be following this. If anybody has any access to any of these court records or evidence, if you know the FOIA process for Boston, Massachusetts, please let us know. We will put in a request if you can assist us with that and try and get more information. City records show Downey made $79,000 last year in regular pay and overtime, making him among the top 3% of earners in the department payroll. Downey, who served on the force for 34 years, has been accused of misconduct before. In 2008, he was suspended for having an affair with a female recruit at the police academy, so he don't care which way he go. He everywhere. He just like, wherever he, let's keep going. In 2008, he was suspended for having an affair with a female recruiter at the police academy while he was still a drill instructor, according to Boston Globe from the time. It's unclear if he was ever disciplined. WBUR has requested Downey's internal affairs file. A public database maintained by the Post Commission does not list any discipline for him. The former head of the police Patrolmen's Association, Patrick Rose, pleaded guilty in 2022 to 21 counts of sexual assault. So even the head of their union got in trouble for diddling little kids. This is crazy. 2 of his victims sued more than a dozen officials and institutions, saying they failed to fully investigate and stop Rose almost 3 decades ago. The Post Commission formed in the wake of protests after the police murdered Floyd in Minneapolis, immediately suspended the certification of any officer who was arrested, charged, or indicted for a felony. If you are engaging in this level of criminality, you deserve no mercy. And we hope that this victim will get the counseling that they need and the help that they need to overcome this trauma. Believe it or not, there's a reason why that young boy was on Grindr. that is a trauma and a reason that probably supersedes him even meeting this sergeant. We need to get to the bottom of it. We need to understand why this was on Grindr in the first place and get them the help that they need. Let's go ahead and watch the arraignment of this sergeant.
All right. Good morning, Attorney Campbell. Attorney Diavolo. Good morning, Mr. Downey.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Attorney Campbell. He was arraigned yesterday. However, I wanted to give you the opportunity if you wanted the reading or not.
I would waive the formal reading.
All right.
As the plea not guilty.
Thank you. All right. Attorney Diavolo.
Yes, Your Honor. So the Commonwealth would be requesting a $250,000 cash bail, as well as the Commonwealth's requested pretrial conditions of release, which was filed yesterday. Those include 9 conditions of release, as well as an attached map for an exclusion zone with a GPS. The Commonwealth believes that a $250,000 cash bail is necessary here to ensure the defendant's return to court. I would point out first the defendant's resources. I believe through the public records database, he made up close to $280,000 last year. The other thing I would like to point out to Your Honor is he is facing 4 charges right now that contain 10-year mandatory minimum state prison sentences. Pointing to the facts of the case as well, I would also point out to the strengths of the Commonwealth's case. So here, Mr. Downey is charged with an aggravated rape. It's the same child both on March 26th and on May 11th. Mr. Downey is alleged to have penetrated the child utilizing his finger on the first offense and then utilizing his penis also on the first offense. And then on the second offense, which was the May 11th offense, he's alleged to have had the child on him and then penetrated evidence to lead to the identification of Mr. Downey started with a forensic interview of that child. Through that forensic interview, the Commonwealth was able to collect screenshots.
I gotta tell you really how this, I could tell you without even knowing, because I don't know, I don't have any information, we're learning this together, but I could tell you right now, the reason why he was caught is probably somebody found what that was doing on the internet. That's usually how it happens. I could guarantee you didn't tell. Because it's not the first time that this child met somebody off a Grindr and probably took money in exchange for sex. This is from my professional expertise, guys. I'm telling you, somebody stumbled across his phone, his tablet. They got access to it. They saw what he was doing. This is what happened in all the cases I've had. Very rarely, unless violence and the perpetrators are abusing and threatening their child, very rarely does it come forward. It's usually because somebody else has found what the child on the internet and then brought it to the attention of the authorities, and then it cooperates because it has no ties or any hangups that they want to protect this person. It's like, yeah, it happened. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know that, and this is like the type of attitudes that I've gotten when I've dealt with some young people who have been in a situation. They're like, yeah, it happened. You know, this is what happened. Is when it happened. You usually don't have a hard time getting the truth from the child as to what happened, because to get to that point, normally that child through so much trauma that they don't value themselves and they don't value anybody else. They're just kind of just going with the motions. They're like a rudderless ship in an ocean, just going wherever the tides take them. And it's very sad that that happens for so many young people because they don't have a strong supportive structure in their family or in their community. Let's keep going.
Thoughts from Snapchat for the communications that the Commonwealth alleges was Mr. Downey, where they are negotiating a price. The chat says to the individual who's asking for the price of $50 again, which is in reference to the March 26th incident. They essentially says that's too low. I'm 14. You know I'm young, and you're asking me to commit a crime. And the defendant responds with, "How about 80?"
Whoa! Whoa! Let's go back. I think I just let that blow over my head. Did the child tell him like, yo, what we doing here is not right? And then he upped the price. Are you kidding me? Hold on here. Let's go back.
In reference to the March 26th incident, I'm 14. You know I'm young, and you're asking me to commit a crime. And the defendant responds with, "How about 80?" process of the identification, as well as the juvenile also provided us with a partial plate of the vehicle, a description of the suspect, and a description of the vehicle that was utilized. We also had text message communications with the juvenile's friend, who he was having a sleepover with that night, that provided us a very detailed window of when he was picked up by the defendant and when he was dropped off by the defendant.
Wow.
Utilizing that information, we were able to collect video surveillance from the South Bay Mall off an apartment building that's facing a parking lot area that was described by that juvenile. A black Chrysler 300 is observed in the video, lining up with the drive time of when the text message from the juvenile was sent to his friend saying he's here. It was approximately a 1-minute drive, and the vehicle utilized the path that Google Maps recommends.
Wow.
The vehicle remains parked for a period of 10 minutes. At that point is when the Commonwealth is alleging the rape occurred.
I just heard something that's actually going to help me in my own investigations. He said the path that they were able to ascertain, that the path that the sergeant took, is the path that Google Maps would recommend if you searched it. People use Google Maps or Apple Maps to get everywhere. I think this will help me in my own investigations, in that there will be a case where somebody's meeting somebody in an area that they're not too familiar with, and maybe all the evidence that I'm going to collect is going to show that my suspect is not from that area. It might make sense for me to map from the suspect's house to the victim's house and see which route Google Maps is recommending. Because another thing that just popped in my head as I said that is that Waze and Google Maps will allow you to pre-plan a trip and put in the date and time, and they will make a recommendation based off of traffic patterns that exist normally during that time. So I can actually ascertain if there's even going to be some detours if it's an area that has a normal traffic pattern. That's a really good investigative tool that I just learned just by listening to this hearing. Let's keep going.
And the vehicle left at approximately 1:04 a.m. from that South Bay Plaza Mall, driving along a different roadway than it approached, which again follows the path of travel from Google Maps. And Google Maps refers to about a 2-minute drive time, and reached out to his friend at approximately 1:07 a.m. indicating that he was dropped off. We were able to issue subpoenas to Snapchat for the username from the Snapchat conversations. With that username and that information that we received from Snapchat themselves, we were able to get IP logs. Those IP logs provided the defendants an IP address that was found to be associated with the defendant through further subpoenas with Comcast. There were also IP logs from Snapchat that show a static IP address from the city of Boston. Further into the investigation, once we learned the defendant's identity from that, we did a cursory look of the address of the defendant's house, and in front of his house, parked perpendicular to the house, is a Chrysler 300 vehicle that's black and has black tinted windows, which matches the description. We initially did a partial plate query with no results. Once we learned that Mr. Downey was a member of the Boston Police Department and actively working at Boston Police Headquarters, the Massachusetts State Police went and did a canvass of the area of the different parking areas for Boston Police HQ, found a vehicle matching the description that was missing the first digit and was 1 digit off on the plate from what the juvenile provided. That license plate came back again to Mr. Paul Downey with the same address that was used from the records that were received from Comcast. The same phone number that was on Snapchat was also associated with Comcast, and the phone that was recovered off from Mr. Downey also had that same phone number, the phone being what was recovered at the time of arrest. Lastly, as the last step, we did a photo array with the juvenile in question on Friday, and the juvenile initially made a positive ID with a 90% certainty of that identity. The positive ID was a licensed R&B photo of Paul Downey. So with the evidence that's pushed against Mr. Downey, understanding he has no record, he is facing severe penalties with 4 different counts that contain 10-year mandatory minimum sentences. The evidence that we have and the strengths of the Commonwealth's case, as well as his financial resources, the Commonwealth does suggest to this court that a $250,000 cash bail is necessary to ensure his return to court. And relating to the pretrial conditions of release, the Commonwealth would suggest those conditions of release are necessary to ensure the safety of the victim and any potential future victims.
All right, you said you passed those up already?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, do you have those? Madam Clerk, do you have those conditions of release? Have you had a chance to look at the proposed conditions?
Your Honor, and for the record, there is no objection to the proposed conditions of release that the Commonwealth is requesting.
Okay.
So Judge,
All right, I don't have those, Mr. Diavolo. Can you tell me?
I have extra copies, Your Honor.
All right, so we're going to stop that here. Next, the defense will be able to make their motions as to, or their argument as to why bail should probably not exist and he should just be released on his own recognizance. This is another edition of True Crime and Strategic Eyes. We on that ass news, all right? We're definitely going to be tracking these cases, and we're going to be doing this segment on a weekly basis. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and definitely share it with your friends and family. And make sure, most importantly, that you hit that like and subscribe button. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.